In the heart of Providence, Rhode Island, a historic structure has found a second life in an unexpected way. The Arcade, the oldest indoor shopping mall in the United States, once stood as a central hub in the city's bustling downtown. Over time, like many other malls across the country, it faced decline and eventually became completely vacant. But rather than allowing this architectural gem to fall into disrepair, developers saw an opportunity to transform the empty space into something new. Now it houses 48 micro lofts on the upper levels, while the ground floor remains home to shops and restaurants. One of the new residents in this reimagined space is Amy Hanian, who has been living in the building for over 2.5 years. Her apartment is approximately 250 square feet, reflecting a growing trend in urban housing, micro-living. While the idea of residing in a former retail space might seem unusual, it offers a unique experience. Hanian appreciates being part of a historic landmark, knowing that each of the compact apartments was once a store. Despite the charm, there are certain challenges. For instance, due to building regulations, open flame cooking appliances are not allowed, meaning traditional stoves or ranges are absent from all the units. Living in a repurposed mall comes with other quirks as well. The Arcade was originally designed to serve retail customers, which means some apartments have direct walkways right in front of them, much like a storefront. Privacy, however, is not a major concern for residents, as all units are equipped with blinds. The trade-offs seem minor when considering the convenience of having shops and restaurants just a few steps away. For some, the ability to grab a meal, get a haircut, or browse a bookstore without stepping outside is a significant perk, especially in the unpredictable New England weather. On stormy days, tenants can still enjoy the amenities without venturing into the elements. This concept of transforming struggling malls into residential spaces is part of a larger trend. Across the United States, an estimated 34 million square feet of mall space remains unoccupied. Almost 70% of Americans live within an hour of a shopping center that is either struggling with highway streets experiencing low foot traffic or has been completely abandoned. Simultaneously, the nation faces a severe housing shortage, with a deficit of approximately 4,500,000 homes. The demand for affordable living spaces is growing, and underutilized malls present a potential solution. As of the beginning of the year 2022, at least 192 malls in the country had announced plans to incorporate residential units. The total number of regional and super-regional malls has already decreased by approximately 8.5% compared to the middle of the previous decade. This shift raises an important question: can housing breathe new life into these once thriving retail centers? For residents of the Arcade, the answer appears to be a resounding yes. The building fosters a unique sense of community that is different from a typical apartment complex. Many tenants develop relationships with the business owners downstairs, frequenting their shops and restaurants. This built-in customer base benefits local businesses, ensuring steady foot traffic in a way that modern online shopping cannot replicate. Scott Sheehan, a real estate investor who owns an apartment in the Arcade, has even listed his unit on Airbnb, attracting short-term visitors interested in experiencing mall living firsthand. While this arrangement brings added vibrancy, it also comes with minor inconveniences, such as the occasional visitor mistakenly attempting to enter the wrong apartment, believing it to be a short-term rental. Beyond providing housing, repurposing malls into mixed-use developments has broader economic implications. Malls are more than just shopping destinations. They serve as economic engines, generating employment and tax revenue. In the year 2020, shopping centers across the country contributed an estimated $400 billion in tax revenue. When these spaces close, the ripple effects are significant. Local businesses struggle, jobs disappear, and empty buildings become blights on their communities. To prevent this decline, developers are reimagining vacant retail spaces. Approximately 54% of repurposed malls are now being used for a combination of housing and office space. Historically, large department stores like Macy's and JCPenney anchored these shopping centers, drawing crowds and serving as retail powerhouses. However, the landscape has shifted dramatically. Macy's has announced plans to shut down 150 of its locations by the year 2027, while JCPenney, which has already closed hundreds of stores after declaring bankruptcy, is set to close an additional 4 locations in the coming years, despite a billion-dollar investment aimed at revitalization. The transformation of malls into residential spaces is not always a straightforward process. Zoning laws can pose significant challenges, as most shopping centers were originally designated for commercial or mixed-use purposes rather than multifamily housing. Developers often need to navigate complex approval processes before moving forward. In addition, converting these spaces is not always cost-effective. While certain areas of malls, particularly exterior-facing retail spaces, are suitable for conversion, many interior sections lack windows, making them less ideal for residential purposes. Renovation costs also vary widely, ranging from an estimated $200 per square foot on the lower end to as much as $800 or more per square foot for more complex projects. Despite these hurdles, the concept of mall-based housing is gaining traction. Some developers are not only repurposing vacant buildings but also incorporating residential projects alongside still functioning shopping centers. At Flatiron Crossing in Broomfield, Colorado, for example, new housing has been integrated into the existing mall landscape, connected by green spaces and pedestrian walkways. These projects aim to create highly desirable, amenity-rich living environments, blending retail, dining, and entertainment with housing. The idea is simple. By transforming malls into places where people can live, work, and socialize, these once dying spaces gain renewed purpose. Residents bring consistent foot traffic to local businesses, supporting restaurants, fitness centers, and entertainment venues. In return, they benefit from the convenience of having everything they need just steps from their door. For many, the appeal of living in a micro loft within a historic mall lies in the balance between affordability and lifestyle. While some may question why anyone would choose to live in such a small space, proponents argue that the true value comes from the surrounding environment. Instead of being confined to a tiny apartment, they see the entire downtown area as their extended living space, encouraging greater commitment with the community. As more malls explore the possibility of adding housing, the trend suggests a broader shift in urban development. The traditional shopping mall, once thought to be on the decline, may not be disappearing after all. Instead, it is evolving. With creativity and investment, these spaces have the potential to become thriving hubs of activity, once again, this time not just for shopping but for living, working, and socializing. For now, in places like the arcade, the mall is no longer just a relic of retail's past. It is a vision of the future.